So time for a more proper video in terms of review. This will be more like a proper review when it comes to Doom the Dark Ages. My last one was more like an in progress impressions video. This one will be like more the real deal. So where to start? I mean, starting from the title of my older video where I said Doom Dark Ages is a game nobody asked for, and a game that doesn't like deserve its price point, something like that. And I still think that's the case. What do I mean by that? The fact that I said that means that I don't think people wanted a prequel that pretty much brought a completely different setting, because Doom is heavily associated with modern technology. So a game set in a different time period, let's say, doesn't feel like something a Doom will be, because all the Dooms that have come out have all taken place in the future, let's say. So to have a game like this having all these weird mumbo jumbo when it comes to the medieval setting, the design of the enemies, the completely different weapons. Some are the same, but a lot of others are not. And all that comes with Doom. Yeah, I don't think people wanted a prequel. I think people were fine with the standard setting. And also the forced parry. But that's something I will discuss more in detail later. And that's what I mean. People, out of all the opinions I've read in the last 4 or 5 years, very, very few, if any, people were asking for a prequel set in the time where the Doom guy was part of the Sentinels, because it feels like a very particular setting, very particular part of the story, to make a whole game out of it. Like I said, this is the kind of story that really didn't need to be narrated, in my opinion. There really didn't need to be a game about this part of the Doom guy story. And of course, I mean, the price point is self-explanatory. This is a single-player game, no multiplayer. It does last quite a bit. It definitely longer than Eternal and 2016. But I also think that it overstays a bit its welcome, because some levels feel redundant. You can say, well, you get to play more. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not like bad per se, but I think if it had been slightly shorter, it would have been more replayable, in my opinion. Especially hunting for all the extra stuff, all the secrets and such. Yeah, that's also quite time consuming, because when it comes to the secrets, this is the modern Doom game that comes closer to the older games in terms of secret hunting, because there's a lot of secret hunting. Granted, the secrets are all on the map, so it's not like you have to look for them, but still, there's quite a lot of them. So I guess you can say it's a positive. And also, when it comes to the levels, if you like in Doom 2, if you're the kind of person that in Doom 2 you like the open-ended levels, like for example the city levels, like industrial area, I think was one of the levels where it was very open in Doom 2. So when you get at the city part in Doom 2, there are quite a few levels that are pretty open and have tons of enemies in them. Yeah, if you like those kinds of levels, you're probably gonna enjoy the level design in this game because there's a lot of big open areas. Probably even too much because there's a bit too many areas like that, and they start to feel samey between the various levels. Honestly, I would have liked more if the levels were there were like a couple more linear levels. I think it would have been better. But other than that, like the level design is probably the best in the trilogy. Even though, like I said, sometimes they feel a little bit dispersive. But it's more good than bad, I would say. Definitely not a flaw, for the most part. Now, talking about the weapons, the combat a little bit. When it comes to the weapons, I've been trying them all now with the various power-ups and so on. I can say, like, most of them have its purpose. Some of them I still don't understand their purpose. Like, for example, the light machine gun. They could have done without it because it's very weak. Unless I'm missing something. That's the only weapon I absolutely despise because it feels weak when you shoot it. And it doesn't really have particularly good power-ups. Also, another weapon that's really more miss than hit is the chain that you have to charge. I don't remember the name. Sorry, I'll put it on screen, both for this and the like light machine gun. Because I'm playing the game on the Microsoft Store and it is in my like native language, so it's not in English. So I don't remember exactly all the weapons in English, how they're called. So, but yeah, these two weapons are my least favorite weapons. In fact, I never use them. It's not that they are like bad. The light machine gun is bad. Like weak, feels weak to use and is actually weak when you shoot them. Shoot it. The chain weapon instead is more powerful, but I don't know. It doesn't feel good to shoot it. It doesn't have much kick to it. The sound as well. You can barely hear the sound. So like that, absolutely. Absolutely back to the drawing board with that weapon. The other ones, I would say they are all good for the most part. A curious thing I have to say when it comes to weapons is that, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only Doom game that has a proper grenade launcher. I haven't played Doom 3 in a while, but I don't remember a grenade launcher being in Doom 3. I may be wrong. And there were grenades in Doom 3, but not a grenade launcher, I think. I'll have to check on Google. Doom 64 I haven't played either. I don't think that one had a grenade launcher. I'll have to check. If I'm wrong, I'll put the correction on screen. Also, no, I'm saying this because grenade launchers were mostly a Quake thing, from what I remember. They've never been in Doom. Grenades, yes, but not a grenade launcher. So I find it curious that this is if I'm right, the first Doom game with a grenade launcher like Quake. Both a grenade launcher and a rocket launcher. Interesting thing. So, I mean, like I said, the weapons, other than those two, I like them. They feel... not all of them feel good to shoot, but for the most part, they are acceptable. They are powerful enough. The power-ups are good, are decent. And even the BFG substitute... Actually, I would say the BFG substitute feels better than the BFG, I would say. I like the giant crossbow. My favorite weapon is probably the plasma gun. Actually, the small plasma gun, I kind of discounted it in my previous video, but I have to say, powered up to the max, it's pretty much like the plasma rifle in Eternal, so it feels kind of similar, because they did split the plasma gun from Eternal into different weapons, and one that is more indicated for the one-on-one fights, so the smaller plasma gun is more indicated for the one-on-one fights, while the second one, the one with 2 barrels, is more indicated for the big group fights. But I mean, they're all good. I actually, I think my favorite weapon other than that one is the Skull Crusher. There are 2 types of Skull Crusher. One that's more suited for the big enemy groups, and one that's better used for the like less when there's less enemies, when there's fewer enemies on screen. Yeah, I like those 2 weapons. They feel good to use. The concept is cool, and they have pretty good kick when you shoot them. So yeah, those 2 are probably the plasma gun and the shotgun, single barrel shotgun, are probably my favorite weapons. Now, when it comes to the weapons, I gotta also talk briefly about the shield. Because yes, the shield is a defensive tool, but it's also an offensive tool. You can throw it at enemies. When you counter, you can activate a special effect that is caused by the runes. According to the rune you have equipped. Sometimes when you parry, you will unleash some kind of special ability that the shield has. Those are called the shield runes. So when it comes to the shield, the meta is pretty much this one. You want to, when there's a stronger enemy that you want to focus on, you throw the shield at them, so to stun them. Because when you throw the shield, most enemies will remain stunned. Like the mid-sized demons remain stunned for a few seconds. The weaker demons, like zombies, soldiers, they just get sliced in half. The medium-sized demons, they get stunned for a few seconds, and you can unload on them freely with your weapons while they're stunned. And on the stronger ones, on the stronger demons, the shield has no effect. So you have to keep in mind that. And like I was saying, when I want to focus on an enemy and keep them still, so I can dispose of them very quickly, I just boom, shield bash. I throw the shield, so I can just obliterate them while they can't retaliate. Of course, it's not always possible because there are a lot of enemies sometimes on screen, but that's the tactic I find myself using the most. The shield is also good for like puzzles, because some puzzles require the shield. I mean, it's nothing special. It's stuff you've already seen 100 million times. I'm not gonna talk about that. The runes instead. There are 4 runes. Each have their own peculiarities. Honestly, I haven't experimented much with the runes. I couldn't tell you which one is the best. At the moment, I'm using mostly the last one, which is the Tldr that stuns the enemies for a few seconds. There are also a rune that spawns energy swords, kind of like Virgil, which is pretty cool. But yeah, they are, from what I've seen, they don't always activate. Their effect seems to be random, I think, unless I'm mistaken. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. Like I said, I think in terms of combat, the shield is implemented relatively well. Other, of course, than the parry. There's also melee. There are 3 melee weapons, which replace the glory kills. There are no glory kills in this game. The melee, like I've said in my previous video, is a mix of the blood punch, yes, the blood punch from Eternal and the chainsaw, because it damages the enemy, but it also gives back ammunitions for the weapons. So it has a hybrid function, and yeah, there are 3 weapons. I haven't experimented much with all of them. Now I'm mostly using the last one, the mace, which is the most powerful one in terms of damage. But it only has 1 available attack for the most part. So you can't really do combos like with the other weapons. And yeah, you need to experiment with this because yeah, you have more raw damage, but you also lose the ability to stun the enemy with melee longer. So it needs to be, like I said, experimented in the lab in this sense. Now the combat, I was saying, I think the game overall works well. Like the core gameplay works on paper and also when you play. Doomguy is very heavy in this game. He doesn't absolutely have the mobility yet in Eternal. But you can make up for it with the shield bash. Because it allows you to travel quite a big distance from one point to the next. So it's good for retreating. As long as there's an enemy to lock on, it serves pretty much the same function as the meat hook in Eternal. Same thing. You have to lock onto an enemy and it allows you to travel a big distance. So that's good. The main problem I have with the game, with the core gameplay loop, is that you have to, like I said, interact with the parry. You can't avoid it. But sometimes there will be too many enemies on screen, and I don't know. Maybe it's me. Like I said, I'm a decent player. I'm not the best player around. Also, I play with a controller. But sometimes I just get killed from behind because either the fodder enemies respawn. This is actually one of the things I dislike the most. The fodder enemies keep respawning when you're in an arena fighting, for the most part. Which it was a thing in Eternal as well. I don't remember if in 16. I don't think it was. But in Eternal as well. But the thing is, with Eternal, when the fodder respawn, it was just one zombie. So it wasn't a big of a deal. But here, whole groups of fodder respawn all together. And a lot of them are comprised of those fucking soldiers that shoot those kind, I don't know what to call them, those bolas that are pretty big in terms of extension. So they'll hit you even if you're not really close to them. And I fucking hate those guys because like they hurt like hell. Zombies too. Like one problem is I've always had with this series, with the new Dooms, if played on like high difficulties, the smaller enemies are actually more dangerous than the bigger enemies because like you don't pay much attention to them, but they still do a shit lot of damage. Like for example in 16, I remember on Nightmare, the imps were more dangerous than most of the other demons because they were fast as hell and they could kill you in 1, maximum 2 hit. So yeah. And the fact that they make these fucking demons respawn, I think it's very annoying because maybe you're focusing on like an enemy a bigger enemy, and boom, sometimes you get hit from behind by these fucking smaller demons. And I understand why they do it, because one, they give, like, they make them respawn, because they give you like health, they allow you to run away from the enemy, to retreat from a bigger enemy, but you don't need to make them spawn all of them. Just make spawn one or two, not all the fucking group. Yeah, this is a thing I dislike. Because sometimes you just, maybe you forget about them, and you get hit from behind and you take a shit lot of damage. It has happened a lot of times that I've died because of that. So your situational awareness has to be on point. The other thing is that, also related to that, sometimes the bullets that the enemies shoot at you, you won't be able to parry them because you actually don't see them arrive. So like you can't afford to not have the most dangerous enemies on screen at all time, because if they actually shoot a parryable like projectile, let's say, you have to, for the most part, you have to parry them or it will hit you. There are homing projectiles that do this. Not all of like the bullets are on like track you, but some do. And yeah, it can be pretty annoying because you have to keep track of all that stuff all the time. And the problem with this is also that some enemies are actually pretty insidious, because you don't see their attacks coming. Some enemies can attack you from very far. Like two very dangerous enemies are the shadow imps, and they can charge you from pretty far. And the problem with them is that you don't see them coming. If there's a big chaos on screen, it's most likely that you won't see them coming because they are transparent. They are invisible, like invisible. It's like the same concept as the invincibility in the classic Doom. You can see them, but they are not very well visible, and they can lunge at you from very far. That was their most dangerous attack. So you'll have to be very careful. And also the stone imps, that they will attack you like Sonic the Hedgehog. Like they will spin dash at you. Yeah, and yeah, those are dangerous as well because their attack is very fast. Sometimes you don't even realize they're coming at you. So yeah, your situational awareness has to be on point when it comes to the combat, because some attacks can be very hard to dodge or to parry, because in the whole like chaos of the battle, sometimes you don't see them coming. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think that some of them are pretty hard to read when there's a lot of chaos on screen. But the combat, like I said, the combat is fun. The parry is addicting. When you enter into the whole rhythm, it feels good to parry stuff. But I still think the game should have had either the double jump or some kind of dash. Like I would have liked a single dash. In Eternal you have two dashes. I think a small dash, singular dash, would have done wonders to this game. Because sometimes you wanna like avoid bullets, but you don't wanna block. So a small dash would have been better than just having to rely only on the shield, in my opinion. Maybe you don't want to make it too good. Yeah, make it that it recharges very slowly. So that will work. Either that or the double jump, because the double jump you can't really jump on bullets. Yeah, I mean you can, but it's very situational. You can't really do it much. So like the game designer, the game director really wanted you to parry stuff. I guess he really likes Sekiro, I don't know. But like I said, I don't think they should have put all their eggs into the parry basket. because by doing so, the game is not for everybody. If you don't like the parry as a concept, this game is not gonna be appealing to you, I think. Now, I don't know how popular parry are, but probably a lot, but this is still an FPS. So I think they should have found a better compromise. And I don't say this randomly, but mostly because if you miss time the parry, or if you just like block too much, your shield will get disabled for a few seconds, and that's extremely punishing in my opinion. Because if that happens, yes, I mean you can argue it's the correct punishment for mistiming your blocks or blocking too much, but don't think that you can block too much to begin with. One aspect, like if you mistime the parry, if you mistime blocking an attack that's parryable, one maximum two of those bullets and your shield will go kaput for a few seconds, and if that happens, you will not have any defense. That's what I say. Like a double jump would have been, or a dash would have been decent. Because if your shield is disabled, you can't do anything, not even the shield bash. So you're pretty much fucked. Like I think it lasts 2 or 3 seconds, but those 2 or 3 seconds will make you beg for a faster recovery. Which, I mean, you can unlock in the power-ups, but still, I think they should have given you a bit more options and not focus too much on this aspect. But overall, like I said, it's very enjoyable. It all depends on how much you can stomach the parry. Now let's talk about the enemies, because the enemies in this game are weird. Now, you've probably already seen all the reinterpretation of the classic demons. So the Caco demon, the Mancubus, the Revenant, and so on. I mean, I would say they have done a good job for the most part. Even though, I don't know, I think the Caco demons are a bit too different. The Revenants too are very different compared to the classic ones. So it's, I mean, they've been creative in this sense. You have to give it to them. They have been creative in redesigning the enemies into new archetypes, and also in terms of design. Now, what I think they fucked up in terms of enemies is one. As far as I've seen, there is only 2 bosses in the game, like proper bosses, proper boss fights, like the Gladiator, or the Can Maker, or Final Sin was in Eternal, for example, or the Cyber Demon in 16. There's only 2 of these in the whole game. Most of the other quote-unquote boss fights are just empowered demons that are stronger than their usual forms. So, like, for example, you'll have an empowered Mancubus as boss, and a lot of the times you have to disable their shield, because you cannot damage them unless you've killed all the other medium-sized demons that are on the field, and only then can you damage these special empowered demons. Or sometimes, yeah, it works like that. Sometimes you can just damage them from the beginning. But yeah, like I said, these bosses really don't add anything to the game, because they are the same enemies, just with more health and armor, let's say. So they're very lame in this sense, and the only two bosses are pretty mundane. They rely heavily on the parry mechanic, of course, so especially the last one is kind of jarring in my opinion, with the ball parry, bang, bang, bang every 2 seconds. It's just dull. The final boss is very dull. Also, I really don't like the main guy, the main bad guy. He's very anonymous. So yeah, in this aspect, I really don't like the enemies. They feel cheap in this sense. The recycling the same enemy over and over and over. Like, oh, this time you're fighting a special Mancubus. This time you're fighting a special Revenant, and so on. So they mix them up a little bit with the classic enemies. Also, they put sometimes 2 empowered demons together, and that can be kind of tough because you cannot block with the shield the empowered demons. So yeah, that's an extra complication into the battle. The 2 new demon types, for the most part, are the Hagadon Hunter, which was the Doom Hunter in Eternal. This was actually, the Hagadon Hunter was their original version when they were alive. And yeah, they're mostly parry based. Like the Hagadon Hunter is very parry based. He has a sword and a shield, so it's like a Dark Souls enemy. And then there is also the Komodo, which is also a very strong enemy. It's a giant lizard with a chainsaw sword. It's very, I don't know. I don't have anything to say about them because they, like I said, they are mostly created on the basis that you have to parry them. That's their most distinctive trait. They are strong. You can cheese them a bit by mauling them with melee at the right time and with some special abilities from the weapons. But they are nothing special in my opinion. And those empowered demons I was talking about, you'll have to kill them if you want to increase your ammo count for specific weapons, your health and your armor. So the game like encourages exploration as well in this sense, because not all the battles will be like easily available for you to fight and find. Some of those battles are also secret. I mean, it was the same thing in Eternal. You could skip some battles because a few of them were not like in the main path. But yeah, with these demons, you can also get some power-ups. Now, these power-ups you can get from the mini bosses are like set in a predetermined order, so it's fixed. You can't decide which weapon you wanna enlarge the capacity of when it comes to the magazine or such. Like at some point you fight that battle, you always get an extra extension of life or an extension of your armor. So other times you'll get that you can carry more bullets for a certain weapon and so on. So even the weapons you can carry bullets for are separated. So if you get like the extra capacity for, let's say, the super shotgun, it does not apply to the regular shotgun. Even though they use the same ammunition type, they don't share ammo in that sense. The maximum pool of ammo for that weapon is separated. And I would have preferred if you could actually choose which weapon you wanna spend that power up on, so you can maybe max out first the weapon you use the most when it comes to ammo capacity. But no, it's fixed. And but at least there's not the problem that Eternal had anymore, where the ammo pool was pretty limited even when you maxed it out. The ammo pool for quite a few weapons was quite limited. For example, think the rocket launcher. You could only carry 13 rockets in Eternal. Most weapons were like that, honestly. I personally think Eternal would have felt a little bit better in its gameplay loop if they actually gave you slightly more ammo. But they really went super conservative in that sense, to force you to switch and to chainsaw. But yeah. Moving on. So you be the judge. I don't like the fact that they have toned down the bosses, because Eternal had more bosses, and the fact that there's not enough like well-crafted bosses other than the recycled ones feels a bit cheap. Now, briefly mentioning the power-ups, I did say before when I was talking about the shield and the weapons, yeah, there's the classic power-ups and so on, but they are divided in different categories. Some of them you can just buy with gold, because you have to collect gold in the levels. So the more you explore, the more gold you find, the more power-ups you can find. Actually, you can buy, sorry. But there are also other two types. One, power-ups you can buy with the rubies you find, which are of better quality. Like it's another tier of power-ups. And then there's the ones you can buy with the wraith stones, which are even more prestigious. Yeah, like the power-up system for the weapon definitely incentivize exploration. But from what I remember, it was like this in the older Dooms as well, like in the previous titles. So unless I'm mistaken, because I haven't played those from the beginning in a long time. So I played them, but not starting from scratch. But I think it was a very similar concept. But I like when the game rewards exploration. So it's a positive in my book. The only thing I don't like about the exploration in this sense is that I think since the levels are pretty big, they've put a bit too many secrets in the levels, so it's very easy to miss them, one, even though they are signed on the map, because the maps are very big. And also, like, it makes it a bit of a chore every time you replay a level, having to find all the secrets. You can say, well, don't find the secrets. Yeah, that is true, but if you're trying to 100% and get all the power-ups, you need to explore to get all the gold as well. That's what I mean. I think they went a bit overboard with the amount of secrets there are in the game. In my opinion, there's a right balance to them, and they've put too many within each map. I think I would prefer if there were a bit less, but hidden slightly better, because some of the secrets are really some of them are kind of hard to get to, but a lot of them are very easy. You don't really have to do much of anything to get them. So yeah. Another very controversial topic pre-release was the whole matter with the sliders, the difficulty sliders. So in this section I'll talk a little bit about the difficulty overall of the game. Also, I've started my second playthrough. The first one I've played on Nightmare, and the only thing I did change was the game speed. I did set it to 110%, so it was pretty much an almost vanilla experience when it comes to Nightmare in my first playthrough. Now in my second playthrough I'm playing Nightmare still. Plus I did put projectile speed for the enemy attacks at maximum speed. I also increased the damage I take from 250% to 300%. And I've changed the game speed to 130%. Yeah, I did try 150%, but it's too fast. Like with a controller, I can't really stay behind the game at that speed. So, but overall, the difficulty I think is, I mean, when it comes to Nightmare, is overall well balanced. Honestly, in some fragments, I think this game can be even harder than Eternal, because there are, I mean, of course, this is assuming like there is no quick swapping. I don't, as far as I know, there is no quick swapping. When you swap the weapons in the game, there it's kind of slow, so you can't really do what you used to do in Eternal with a quick swap and build damage very fast. In fact, if you watch like the really good players in Eternal, they will just obliterate everything in 2 seconds because they will swap between every fucking weapon. So they will destroy any enemy, no matter how strong, in a few seconds with the higher DPS that the quick swap allowed for. And as far as I know, there was no quick swap in this game, so when you change a weapon, it's kind of slow. You can't really combo, as far as I've seen. So yes, the game I think overall is slightly harder. It can be easier, but it also, in some fragments, very harder, like quite harder than Eternal. Especially if you bump up the speed or the projectiles of the enemies, make them extra fast. And of course the damage you take if you want. And overall, what do I think of the sliders? I think they're okay. I don't have a problem with them. The only thing I would have done different is one, I will just change when you change the because you have to select a pre-made difficulty. So like you select Nightmare, and then you can change the values. If you change the values, it's still called Nightmare, but then the game adds a letter on top to let you know it's not standard nightmares. Nightmare, it's I think it's the game adds an M near it. I guess it stands for modified. I don't know. I honestly, I would have changed the name instead of like leaving Nightmare or something like that. I would have just said custom difficulty, modified Nightmare or something like that. And second, I don't get the idea of selecting Nightmare and then allowing the player to make the game easier. Because what's the point of picking Nightmare if you're just gonna decrease the difficulty? Nightmare is supposed to be the maximum difficulty. So I honestly, I would have, for Nightmare, like for the higher difficulties, I would have only given the possibility to make it even harder, but not easier, because otherwise what's the point of Nightmare? And I've seen they have added a new difficulty between Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare, which Ultra Nightmare is the permadeath. You only have one life. They've added Pandemonium, which is pretty much Ultra Nightmare, except you have multiple lives. Like you have I mean, you can collect maximum 3 lives, and if you lose a life during a level, I think you restart the whole level. So you have to complete one level before you die, before you run out of lives. So you can't die more than 3 times, let's say. which is an in-between between Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare. So it's not permadeath because you have lives, but still it punishes you pretty harshly if you die within a level. Another controversial, you can say, it was definitely a big debate before release, was the change in soundtrack. Like, there is no Mick Gordon composing the soundtrack in this game. He has had a fallout with Bethesda, so like he's not working on Doom anymore. And yeah, you can tell. I think the game suffers quite heavily due to the fact that he's not making the soundtrack, because the really epic battles will have benefited quite a lot from him doing the music, I think, in this game. And yes, the soundtrack there is in the game is not bad, but it's also very generic. Like, it's generic metal stuff. You probably won't remember any of the tracks. Like maybe one, if any, one or two in the whole game, but I doubt. Honestly, there's no melody stuck in my head from this game, and that was absolutely not the case with the previous games. Like, even just the main menu was memorable in the previous Doom games. This one, I don't remember any of the tracks, honestly. They are very generic. So, like, it depends on your taste. I think Mick Gordon is a good composer, so that was definitely a huge loss when it comes to the game's engagement, because the soundtrack is a very important part of a game, in my opinion. Now, wanna touch briefly the dragon and the mech parts, mech levels, which I did mention in my initial video before the release, that I did think they looked a bit out of place, and I was afraid they will break the pace a bit too much compared to the standard gameplay. And I have to say, it's not really as bad as I thought, because there are multiple levels where these two styles of gameplay are featured, but they are really not that prominent, and they are spaced quite far from each other, so you don't really get tired, like, of seeing them. I think they've done a good job managing those two things. And the mech levels also don't last very long. They're very short and linear, while the dragon ones are usually slightly longer, but again, the dragon controls pretty well, so it's not like it's a chore to control. It's pretty snappy and reactive, so not much of a complaint, honestly. Like, if they were not in the game, I wouldn't miss them, but they don't ruin the experience. Actually, I think they are kind of decent overall. So, I mean, at least in this sense, they did give the game some variety, even though they did add a couple turret sections for whatever reason. I don't get the point of adding. I think there are only two in the whole game, so it's not like they've added so many of them. But I think it's kind of weird that they added the turret sections in a game like this, which goes against everything like the games that had turret sections stood for. But yeah, I mean, at least it's only two, so I guess it's not that bad after all. Now, a few bits about the game's story, and then I'll tell you my conclusions if you're still watching or listening. because the video is quite long. But I mean, this game is a long game, so I think it warrants a long video. Now the story it's very simple. It's nothing special. I mean, in the end, it's a prequel, so it's not like they can do something particularly egregious. It's a prequel. They can't, like, this is the cross the prequels have to carry. They can't really shuffle the deck too much when it comes to their narrative, because of course they have to respect what comes after, and this is no different. Story is very simple. The main antagonist is pretty lame, honestly. The levels, like in terms of aesthetics, they are, I mean, some of them are quite cool, while a few others drag for a bit too long. Like there are I think 4 levels set in the cosmic realm, and I think they could have shortened that at 3, because that part of the game overstays a bit its welcome, in my opinion. Also, trigger warning in the cosmic realm, because if you suffer from thalassophobia, yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, but there's quite a bit of water, deep dark water in that part of the game. So yeah, if you don't like those types of sections, be careful. Even though, like I said, they're not too egregious, let's say. You have to clench your ass a little bit. But yeah. Now I was saying the story, I mean, the story is very forgettable. It's nothing special. It's Doom guy does Doom guy stuff, kills enemies. The main demon guy wants to steal an artifact. Doom guy gets betrayed by the Creed, which is just another maker, and then he goes on a rampage and kills everything and everybody. That's pretty much the story. And then he keeps killing demons. Like I said, the story is nothing special, but they did go pretty Marvel Cinematic Universe once again in the story, like they did in Eternal. Like Doom guy in this game feels a bit too much like a Marvel superhero, which is something I highly dislike. The same thing they did in Eternal. They drank a bit too much of their own Kool-Aid. Now, when it comes to the like woke accusation, some people said this game is woke. Like I already made a video on this, but I'll touch on it again briefly. And honestly, the game is woke. No, yeah, a little bit yes, but mostly no, I would say, because what is there that is woke in this game? As far as I remember, there are really not many POCs, if any at all. Like maybe a few NPCs that you can barely see in the game. There are a few women here and there, but it's not like they do anything special. All the main cast is white, just like in the previous games. Yeah, there's that guy with the mohawk. He's kind of a mixed guy, but it's just him. All the main cast is like King Novik, his daughter, and Doom guy are as European as it gets. And Tira, the name of Novik's daughter, she's okay. I mean, she's a bit bland as a character, but she's not a boss girl. She's not a cunt. She does her job. Nothing special to report. She has a bit of a masculine face, but she's attractive, so it's not like they made her ugly. And I mean, the only thing that I really didn't like was how King Novik is almost always bare-chested, while his daughter is all covered up. Now, I'm not saying she should be naked, but I don't know, maybe show at least, I don't know, maybe her tummy, like show some skin, because King Novik is pretty much almost bare chested. So have his daughter show some skin as well, because otherwise it looks weird. But I mean, other than this, like I said, the game is not really woke, because Doom guy does everything. He's the strongest. He's the best character in terms of actually getting shit done in the game. He actually saves Novik's daughter 3 times in the game, so it's not like she's a Mary Sue. Like I said, other than very minor stuff like changing I'm too young to die into something else, which I don't remember, there's really not much woke bullshit in this game. Like, there's slightly less gore compared to the previous games because there are no glory kills. Which, I mean, that depends on your taste. I think the glory kills, I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but the glory kills had a different function. This is pretty much just another way for you to get ammo with the wall melee stuff. You combo, pum 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 punch, kicks, and weapons. So it's that's their justification for there not being more gore, because you just punch enemies. You don't disembowel them with your hands with the glory kills. So it's up to your personal taste. I would have liked a bit more gore because this is a Doom game, but yeah, no, it's not like it's the end of the world. So finally, to conclude, what do I think of this game? Is it worth the price? Like, should you play it? Yes and no, because the game is definitely worth playing. It's fun, it's snappy, it's fast. It has a lot of customization options. The gameplay feels good overall, as long, of course, as you can stomach the parry, like I said before. Most of the weapons are okay. The levels are interesting to explore. Doom guy feels good to control. Maybe the sounds of the weapons need a little bit more work, but for the most part, I would say they did a good job. I feel like some of the levels are a bit too big for their own good, so they overstay a bit their welcome. Also because the game's length, like I said before, it's a bit too long in my opinion. I think a game this long probably makes it slightly less replayable, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's possible. When it comes to the price, I think these games cost too much. Like, you can't find it for less than $60 digital on PC. We're talking a digital game, so you cannot resell it. $60, it's too much. And on consoles, yeah, I think it's no cheaper than $70, which is a lot, or even 80. So yeah, definitely wait for a sale. I think this game will definitely sell less than the other two games, only because of the bigger price and also the availability on day one on Game Pass. So definitely that's a recipe for I mean, not bad sales, but definitely worse sales compared to the other two games. Because I mean, you're like putting a price tag that's pretty high on the game, and then you give me the possibility to play it on Game Pass for like $10 in a month, which is what I'm doing. I did play the game on Game Pass with a 1 month subscription, because I was not gonna buy a $60 game. Come on. It's not like there's much else to do. Like, it's only the campaign. In that sense, yeah, there's a lot of secrets to find, but it gets a bit boring after a while. So definitely wait for a sale. And also, as I've already said multiple times, they should have made the gameplay a bit more varied when it comes to the Doom guy's abilities. I feel like the game relies too much on the parry and the shield. and in my opinion, it's a mistake. They should have made the game a bit more akin to a classic action game, like, I don't know, Devil May Cry 3, which has a parry, yes, but you're not obliged to use it every fucking second. You can also deal with stuff in other ways. But this was the director's fault. Like, will make a parry slop game. So what can you do? But yeah, I think I've said everything. Let me know your thoughts on the game. If you played, if you want to play it, put a like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye, guys.